Hello and welcome back, adventurers, to another episode of Underdark Cellars. Today's episode, we are making Yasha's bug bites. Now, I understand that not everyone is stoked by the idea of eating crickets. However, we are also going to make a chickpea version, and I'll do the chickpea version first. But let's go ahead and dive right in and get started, shall we? In a small bowl, combine dark brown sugar, garlic powder, instant coffee, lemon pepper, powdered mustard, smoked paprika, and celery salt, and then whisk until evenly combined and no clumps of brown sugar remain. Set that aside, and then in a larger bowl, we are going to add our olive oil. The recipe calls for 2 tablespoons. I'm doubling this, thus I'm using 4 tablespoons. To that, we are going to add our rinsed, drained, and dried chickpeas. Now, they recommend that you set the chickpeas aside for about 4 to 6 hours to drain well and evaporate most of the moisture. Once that's done, we're going to toss the chickpeas in the olive oil to coat them evenly, and then we're going to start incorporating our spice mix a little bit at a time until everything is thoroughly coated, and then we're going to transfer this to a parchment paper lined baking sheet. And just to ensure that our chickpeas cook evenly and have the best chance at crisping up, we're going to shake them out and spread them out so that they can bake evenly. 400 degrees Fahrenheit for anywhere between 25 to 35 minutes, rotating once halfway through and tossing, and then it's time for a taste test. I'll save my thoughts for the end, but let's get into why you are really here. It's cricket time. We're just going to repeat the spice blend from earlier, so we're talking brown sugar, garlic powder, instant coffee, lemon pepper, ground mustard, smoked paprika, and celery salt. Again, we're going to give that a whisk, and I had to actually go in with my fingers to break up some clumps of brown sugar just to make sure that it was all integrated. And we're going to give it a little taste test. Delicious. Fabulous. Put 2 tablespoons of olive oil into a large bowl and set that aside. It's cricket time, and I can't believe I have to say this, but please only use crickets meant for human consumption. I had to order mine from Amazon from a brand called Eco Eats. This is a tri-cricket blend or a cricket mix. I couldn't find just house crickets. These are house crickets, field crickets, and Jamaican crickets. And then there is an oxygen absorber in these. You want to remove that. Please do not eat that. Do not cook that. Remove it from the bag. Once we open these bags, we're going to smell them, and I was really surprised. I thought these smelled like peanuts. That said, we're going to toss them into the olive oil and make sure they're coated evenly before we add our spices, which we're going to add a little bit at a time just to make sure everything is evenly distributed and to avoid clumps from forming. And we're just gonna get all of that goodness in there. These are gonna be really strongly spiced, which I don't really think anyone's going to complain about. Once everything is thoroughly combined, we're going to transfer this to a parchment paper lined baking tray, and we are going to bake this at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for anywhere between 10 to 12 minutes. We are going to rotate the tray halfway through at 5 minutes or 6 minutes, and then we're also going to give that a little stir so that it ensures everything will cook evenly. Once that's done, we're going to take them out of the oven and question where we went wrong, because I don't think it's supposed to smoke like that. It's time for the taste test. This is what you're all here for. Drum roll, please. That, it's a little gritty, but it's not bad. You heard it here first, folks. These are a little gritty, but not bad. Okay, let's get into final thoughts. Okay, so the first one is I actually preferred the crickets to the chickpeas for a couple of reasons. One, the crunch that I got out of those crickets was one of the most satisfying crunches I have ever crunched in my life. there are few things that have compared in my memory to the crunch that I got from these crickets. One of them is like homemade puff pastry, that like crispy crackly sound. So satisfying. It scratched an itch in my brain that I didn't know existed. It was great. The chickpeas, it just was not the same. I mean, they were crunchy, but it was not the same. I also thought that the chickpeas, the flavor of the chickpeas themselves were kind of lost behind the seasoning, where I was pleasantly surprised by this like nutty flavor that the crickets had. I thought that paired really well with the seasoning. The crickets were not as overwhelmed by the flavors as the chickpeas were. The chickpeas got lost, which is something I did not think I would say doing this video. All right, the downsides to the crickets. I think the big downside is cost effectiveness. The chickpeas, if you get them from your local grocery store and you get a generic can or generic brand, are going to run you anywhere between 60 and 89 cents depending on where you live, cost of living, and if there are any sales going on. The crickets, because they are for human consumption, they have to be processed in a certain way, and that drives the price way up. This is not like your local pet store cricket supply dealer for your lizard. These are for human consumption, so it's going to be more expensive. And for a 15-gram bag, I spent $12. That was a lot of money for crickets, so I probably will only make this the one time for the novelty. But if you live somewhere that crickets are, that human grade insects are more accessible and cost effective, then yeah, I'd probably make this again. Honestly, this was good. It was good. The other issue that I had with them was the grittiness that I had referenced earlier. I felt like I had to floss a little bit more to get that out of my teeth and really chew it down, and I think that's because of that exoskeleton that crickets have. It's pretty hard. It got like caught in the ridges of my molars, and it was just a little unpleasant texture at the very end. But I mean, overall, it was fine. That brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much, adventurers, for sticking around. We are going to be uploading more frequently. We're going to be uploading twice a week, so stay tuned for the second video this week. But if you have any comments, leave them down below. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. If you liked what you saw, please smash that like button. And if you are not subscribed, we would love to have you. Like 60% of our viewers are not subscribed, so we would love to have you join us, and just ring that bell for notifications so you know when new videos go live. And with that, adventurers, I bid you adieu, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!